Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, Facebook family. Welcome, Instagram family. It is so good to see you both here this morning. We are going to continue our conversation from yesterday. And for those of you that don't know, this is Coffee Chats with Coach Candy. I am here every morning. Good morning, Martha. Good morning, Myra. I'm here every morning and we are going through different strategies, different tools, different tips, different ways for you to elevate your life and business. And good morning, Deborah, Elaine, Yvette, everybody. Good morning to all of you on Instagram. It's so great to see you. So we're going to jump right in because I've got to actually head out pretty quickly this morning. I'm helping a client with an all-day strategy session. So got lots going on today. Good morning. Good morning. So what I want to do is I want to actually continue our conversation from yesterday. We were talking about ways to mitigate or ways to destroy the noise as it relates to the opinions of others that you choose to internalize. And again, just to remind everybody, it is a choice for sure. Girl, okay, let's get this on because it's already one of those mornings. Awesome, I love that. Good, so I'm gonna give you some tools. I'm gonna give you some really good tools to not get drawn into other people's drama. And for some of those verbal and emotional and even sometimes spiritual or energetic bullies, physical bullies, there's other strategies, but for those people that just want to shut you down, those people that are in a space that think they need to give you their opinion, things that oftentimes feel uncomfortable or unsafe, want to give you some ways that maybe you can look at that differently. I'm going to share a couple stories. So we're going to jump in because the opinions you carry really are a choice. It's a choice that you can listen to people or not. And yesterday we talked about, do you know, like, trust, or respect somebody before you take their opinions, their counsel, their advice? We also talked about, are they in the arena with you? Are they even someone who's had any experience in this space? Do they warrant or have credibility for being able to give you that advice, for being someone that you're even going to listen to? And like, I said yesterday, I used the analogy, if they have never even put gas in your car, if they don't even know what a gas tank is, they don't get to tell you how to drive it. I'm just saying, if they're not investing in it, if they're not investing in you, if they've never once put gas in the car, if they've never once actually put their hands on the steering wheel and put the foot on the accelerator, they don't get to tell you how to do anything in your life. And so be really mindful about who you're getting counsel from. And I want you to, and I'm going to give you, and I'm going to do it in the form of stories today because I think it exemplifies what you can do to really disengage from the drama that's going on around. Because like I said yesterday, you are left with two choices. Or you leave someone two choices. That's it. Two choices on what they can do if you choose not to participate in their energy and their drama. And one is, if they are really trying to find someone to engage with them, if they're looking for the fight, just know that they're going to find somebody else. They're going to actually find someone else that they can get pulled into their circus of monkeys, right? If they really want to stay engaged with you, if they want to continue to build a relationship, if they want to talk to you, then they're going to find ways to redirect their conversation. They're going to change their energy. They're going to change their behavior. And they're going to try and meet you where you're at because they still want to engage in conversation. And so it's really powerful because you leave, good morning, Tanya. You only leave them two choices. So here are two stories I want to share with you that legitimately happened in my life. One of them was when I was transitioning from, corporate, living in Milwaukee, coming down, starting my own business, and moving to Austin. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Robin. Good morning, everyone. So one of these stories happened. There was this great place. It's not even there in Milwaukee anymore. It makes me very sad. But there was this place called Santani's. It was a piano bar. It had kind of like that whole Frank Sinatra, crooners, like old school Dean Martin kind of martini bar, and it was a piano bar. I love this place. I know it closed because a lot of people didn't, but I loved Santani's. It was in the 3rd Ward. And we were going out. I went out with a group of girlfriends. Good morning. Good to be back. I was just thinking about you this morning, Jeff. It's nice to see you again. Good morning, sunshine, as well. And so I love this place. And so it just seemed fitting that when I left Milwaukee, that I had a kind of going well, farewell, get together with the girls to go out for martinis, put our best outfits on, and go have fun, right? Well, I am an empath. I am a deep empath at that. And so I can feel people's energy like miles away. I can always tell when somebody's looking for a fight, which is a good asset to have. And it helps me clear out when I need to. So I already have a strategy that says, and by the way, when you drop into your intuition more, we all have that ability to be able to feel that. And you can feel people that are in that fight response. You can feel people that are really looking to antagonize. And you're already looking for the exit because you're like, you know what? I'm not even going to participate with this in any level. So that is a strategy in itself, is that when you're really mindful of people's energy, you're just looking for the exit to start with, because you're like, I don't have time for this. I don't want to get caught up in their circus of monkeys. I am just not going there. So that's kind of a side strategy. Anyway, back to the story. I could feel this energy. There was this, I'm going to use the word gentleman, who walked into the bar, and you could just feel he was looking to light somebody up. I mean, you could just feel that he was looking to start something. I mean, the minute he came, we were in the back of the bar. The minute he came in the door, my head just whipped around. I'm like, oh, hell, here we go, right? And I also know that when I recognize that, more than likely that energy is going to come at me. It's just what happens. When you notice it, you're already attracting it to you because you're paying some attention. So needless to say, we're sitting there, my girlfriends and I. Now, I have to tell you, I was wearing this jacket that was my signature jacket. And I will tell you, I think I love this jacket just because it was so controversial. And I have no idea why. It literally was just this suede trench coat from Wilson's, I think, of all things. And it had this like piping in it, and it was really fitted, and it was kind of this tan color with brown piping, and it was really freaking awesome. And it was completely out of the norm of what, especially in Milwaukee, people were gonna wear. So I either had people love this jacket, or I had people really hate this jacket. So I think I really loved it because it created that kind of just, I don't know, I just think it's funny that something like a stupid coat can cause that kind of reaction from people. And I used to love, because some of my gay friends would come up and be like, girl, you look fabulous. And some of my other friends were like, I don't understand that coat. No, just like, I didn't know the coat needed to be understood, right? So needless to say, I'm wearing this coat because it is my power outfit. Like, I put it on and I'm like, damn, I love this coat. And so like I said, I feel this guy's energy coming at me. And all of a sudden I get this like tap on the shoulder. And I turn around and he's just like, I need you to know, I don't like that coat. And I, being me, just kind of smiled and I said, well, thank you. And I turned back around and kept talking to my girlfriends. Apparently not the answer that he wanted, because all of a sudden I get this tap on my shoulder and a little bit more emphatic than last time. And I turn around again and I have this huge smile on my face, because again, I kind of know where this is going to go. It's kind of like Brene Brown when she says, at a certain age, you just kind of can play the story out. I kind of know where this is going to go. And so I turn around and I'm like, yes. And he's like, I don't think you heard me. He's like, I don't like that jacket. I think it's ridiculous. And I was like, well, thank you again. And I just turned around. Okay, I'm going to just say this before I finish the story. There is this space for me that I have what's known as, you can poke the bear 3 times before I am either going to literally or figuratively throw a left hook. And for those of you that know I box, I do MMA, I'm just saying you get 3 times, and I mean 3 times to poke the bear, and the smile goes away, and I am literally going to do something that is either a literal or figurative left hook. So to finish the story, I get this very emphatic, like almost to the point where it was a little painful, like pound, like tap on my shoulder. And I turn around and he gets really close. And you know how when people want to project their stuff, they seem to like have no respect for personal boundaries, and they get really close to you, and they, yeah, obviously not a fashionista, absolutely, right? I thought I was looking fabulous, I'm just saying. But people that just, they need to be heard, like if they're not getting what they want, they actually invade your personal space, and it becomes a safety issue, and they are just this close. And it's like they think you can't hear them, so they get really, 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 really loud, and they, good morning, Coach Joe, they get really, really loud, and they get really emphatic about what they're about to say. So needless to say, he taps me on the shoulder again, and he turns around, and I turn around and I look at him and I'm like, you know, kind of like, okay, what? And he goes, I don't, and I mean like the spit's flying. He's like in my face. He's right there, like your coat. And whatever he said, they were screaming at me right in my face. And I looked at him and I went, and I took a pause because I'm really, you know, I'm in that space of, I just want this situation to go away and this is ridiculous. So here's a tactic in itself. And I'm going to give you another variation of this in a moment. I just looked at him and I went, and I kind of started to take off my jacket and then I put it back on and I said, oh, you must think that your opinion matters to me and that it's going to have any effect on the fact that I'm having a fabulous evening with my girlfriends. And he just looked at me and I said, if you don't like my jacket that much, why don't you walk away? And he just was stunned. I mean, talk about a kind of like mic drop moment, right? He's just stunned. He's standing there and he's just like, and just walked away. Here's the kicker. Here's the rest of the story. There's more to it. I turn around and my girlfriends, mind you, we're at a martini bar. So we've had a drink or two. I'm just going to say that, right? There's power in numbers. And one of my girlfriends turns around. Good morning, Patricia. One of my girlfriends says, oh, I can't believe he thought you were going to really take off your coat. And so I just kind of paused and I said, huh. And you can see her look at me and go, oh, come on, no, you're not going to use this as a teaching moment, which is exactly what I did. And so I looked at her and I said, interesting that all of you are so appalled at the fact that this guy was insistent that I get rid of my coat. He didn't like my coat, that I was supposed to like care about his ridiculous opinion. There's 6 of us right now, so there's powers in numbers. Really easy for especially women to stand up and be like, oh, hell no, he didn't do that. Who does he think he is, right? And we've had at least one, if not moving into a good second martini. So there's a lot of liquid courage running through some people's veins, right? So I simply said, I said, you know what's interesting is all of you are ready to fight right now. All of you are ready to be like, oh, hell, he didn't say that to my girl. He didn't do that. He's not here. I said, so what happens when you're at work on Tuesday and you're wearing that fabulous jacket or that pair of shoes and someone comes up to you and says, wow, that's an interesting coat. How many of you go back to your desk and you take that jacket off and you put on that boring black sweater, because every female in corporate America has a black sweater that sits on the back of her desk or on a chair because the temperature in corporate is like ridiculously sub-zero temps. So every woman knows what I'm talking about. And by the way, this affects the men too. But who goes back and takes off that gorgeous jacket, that thing that made you feel like a rock star in the morning, and put on that black sweater and hunch down and play small? And so I want you to realize it's really easy to do that. Yeah, boom, right? It's really easy to do that when you've got your posse with you and you got your girls, when you got your boys. But when you're facing that one-on-one and someone comes to you and says something that you start to internalize, you start to make it your truth. And again, it's not even someone you know, like, trust, or respect. You're sitting there and you're like, oh, they don't like my jacket. I had a woman in corporate. She had this amazing brown suit. And I got to say, there was very few people that could rock this suit. And she rocked it. And I loved it. She looked fierce in it. And one day I was like, man, I haven't seen her wear that suit in a while. I mean, it was her power suit. You could tell she had a whole swagger about her and confidence. And one day I said something to her. I was like, hey, where's that beautiful brown suit you wear? She's like, and her face kind of dropped. And she was just like, well. And I said, where's that suit? And she said, well, I didn't feel like it really fit work, so I gave it away to Goodwill. And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, because someone else is projecting their nonsense. How many times when you had gotten up in the morning and you looked in the mirror and you were like, damn, I'm here to play today. And somebody made a ridiculous comment to you that you took that as your personal truth. And you got right and you switched the frame instantly from one of, man, I own it. This is who I am. You had some swagger about you. And then you got into a space where somebody else said something and all of a sudden you let yourself play small. You allowed yourself to play small because somebody else's drama got in your way. Because I'm going to tell you, that guy that came to the bar, it had nothing to do with my jacket. I could feel him from the street. He was looking to fight with somebody and I just refused to fight. And so I want you to think about that. How many times do you take the jacket off? And I have the same thing about men. I had a guy on my team. He was balding and he had this goatee and he had just a sharp look about him. And I got promoted and moved into a new position. Good morning, Renee. I got moved into a new position. And I mean, he just looked awesome. Bill like had it going on. It just was a sharp look. Well, apparently his new manager after me saw him in the hall. Good morning, all my Instagram friends. He must have thought, he was walking in the hall and passed his new manager and she's like, oh, guess we forgot our razor this morning. Guess who came back in the next day fully shaven? And there's nothing in our policy or handbook that said he couldn't have facial hair and couldn't look, but because someone made an opinion, someone made a statement, he then took that and internalized that to be his truth. And I want you to think about, where are you internalizing someone else's nonsense, someone else's circus of monkeys, someone else's opinion of you, and making that be your reality? I've gotten to a point where, and here's what I want you to realize, everyone is judging you. Human nature. Every single person you come across is going to make a judgment. Period. We cannot, as human beings, not make a judgment. And here's the thing I want you to know twofold. One, that everybody is judging you. And two, nobody is judging. As soon as they judge you, it's not about you at all. And even when they judge you, it's not about you. It's about how they're comparing themselves against you. So they're even thinking about, good morning, Mateo, on Instagram as well. It is that space of, there's something going on. You're a mirror to them that either they don't like it, they're jealous of it, something is happening. So when someone's putting that stuff out there, it's not about you. It's never about you. Even a compliment is ultimately not about you. A compliment is somebody who is feeling such a state of love that they want to gift that out. Because have you ever had that moment where you've told somebody, man, I love your hair. And they're like, she cut too much off, it's horrible. Or you say something like, wow, I really like that jacket. Oh, it's just a Goodwill find. I got it at Target, or whatever it is. We qualify it. We diminish it, and we don't take the compliment. And if you ever had that person that you're giving the compliment to, and they like spun around the axle, like they got really wound up, and you're like, whoa. Now you can either jump into that shitstorm and be like, ooh, let me play in whatever crazy is going on there. Or you can be like, hell no, that wasn't about me. I am still going to have my peace. It's a good day. I gave it to them. They don't want to receive it. Done. Or you can lean in and say, hey, I don't think that was about what I just said. Tell me what's going on. So you can pick your battles. Yes, Peyton is going nuts in the background. He loves hearing his mama talk about this. Oh, that's so funny. And so I want you to think about that for a minute. I want you to think about how much you're engaging. You have a choice all the time. And when you can lean in and ask somebody, hey, what's going on? That wasn't about me. Or you can just walk away and be like, dude, that is a crazy storm I don't have to play with, right? And so, for example, I'm going to give you two more stories, because one of the other stories, speaking of not engaging in that, hey, so funny. Cool. Speaking of not, now I want to engage in Peyton's noise. He's my baby. I love him. Hi, peeps. So I want you to think about for a minute. My sister and I, we used to have a conversation, and there'd be times she'd like to spin in her stuff, and she's done so much work. I love my sister. And my dog is a little empath too, and we would be over and we'd be having dinner at her house, and all of a sudden she would be getting in a space where she'd be needing to be in some drama, right? I'm like, man, I just don't feel like I want to go there. And Peyton, I'm not even kidding, he would go to her front door, and he would face the front door, and he would look straight ahead, and then he'd kind of like turn his shoulder like this to look around, and he'd be like, Mama, it's time to go. And I would kind of laugh and look at him and go, you know, right, bud, I think you're right, it's time to go. And so I tell my sister, we gotta go, whatever. And sometimes she'd get really upset. She's like, why do you have to go? Blah, blah, blah. And I kind of be like, because you're validating the drama right there. Or, she'd change and we'd settle back in and have conversation. Well, it's funny because just about a year ago or so, we were talking about this. Good morning, Terry. And good morning, Cynthia. And it was so funny because all of a sudden Peyton goes to the door, and Crystal's like, oh, is that why Peyton goes to the door all the time? Because we were just talking about not participating in drama. And we were talking about working through our stuff and other things. And so it's funny because it doesn't happen hardly ever anymore. But every once in a while, my sister goes to a space and Peyton will go over to the door. And my sister, I'm not even kidding, will be like, Peyton, no, Aunt Crystal's good. No, we don't have to talk about that. I'll change the subject. And he will turn around, and I'm so not kidding. He will turn around, and he'll cock his head at her, and he'll kind of look, and if he believes her, he comes up and he gets up on the couch and he snuggles next to her. If he doesn't, he turns around and he's like, head out the door again. And so it's just funny. Even my dog has boundaries. And so I want you to realize that you can create boundaries about not entertaining and playing in someone else's circus. You are not their conductor. It is their monkeys, their circus. Let it be. And so when someone's spiraling and someone's spewing, you can do a couple things. You can just be like, peace out, not playing. Or you can be like, ooh, that didn't feel like me. How about I lean in and ask, do you need a friend? Do you need a shoulder? Tell me what's going on, because that doesn't feel anything like that has to do with me. Okay, so those are some strategies. The other thing I want you to realize, and this is a story that really happened to me in corporate, and it was a situation where I was feeling almost some personal threat for sure. I had walked out of a meeting, and there was a guy in my group leadership meeting. I didn't even think he knew who I was, although I was the only girl in the meeting, woman in the meeting. I still don't think he knew who I was or gave me any kind of consideration. And all of a sudden we walk out and I get this, hey, Barone, because, you know, it's usually what I got called in corporate. People didn't know how to use my first name. And so I was like, what? And he's like, I need to give you some feedback. And I was like, oh, here we go. I could feel the storm brewing, right? And so he starts to like, he's a big guy. I'm 5'2". He was like 6'5", big guy. Starts backing me up. And like truly my physical space. And I'm much bigger presence than me. So all I'm doing is backing up until I'm up against like the wall. And he's like, I just need you to know you're aggressive. Which, by the way, I actually do love that when people say that to me. I love when they tell me that they're intimidated by me. I'm like, I'm a 5'2" power pack of nothing, right? I mean, it's just kind of crazy to me. Anyway, so he's like, you're aggressive. And I just looked at him and I was like, thank you. Because I really do like that compliment. I appreciate the fact that people know I know how to go after what I want. And sometimes you do need to be aggressive when you're in a corporate situation and everybody's pounding their fists and you don't get hurt if you don't show up, right? And so he's like, that wasn't a compliment. I was like, okay, thanks anyway. He's like, no, you don't understand. That was not a compliment. And I was like, and so I just looked at him and I go, well, you don't get to decide how I choose to internalize it. Probably not the smartest thing. I was being a little flippant. So I was participating a little bit. And then he did this space where he really closed the gap between me and kind of the wall and just kind of really came in. I was like, oh, hell, here we go. Mind you, I box and do MMA and I'm not about to flatten this guy at work. And I also know I need to get out of the situation because it's not a situation I want to be in. So I start kind of just going, all right, just be really present and just be mindful of when you can make your out, right? So he does what a lot of people do when they want to like bench or they want to project. He did this, and he blows up his chest, right? He's like, oh, and he just gets really kind of heavy. And so I remember sales 101, always mirror the person that you're trying to relate to. So I was like, all right, if he's going to blow up his chest so much, I went, and I got really big, just like he did. Well, as big as I could for 5'2". And he just looked at me, and all of a sudden I went, and created that space, right? That kind of space between two breaths, created the empty. And he just goes, what was that for? And then I dropped. And this is where you have an opportunity to drop into a higher vibration, drop into something that's a little bit bigger. I literally dropped it. And I got into an amazing space of gratitude because, and I think I talked about the guy yesterday who was like, well, what book, when I asked him, what book did you write? It's the same kind of drop in where I just looked at him and I made eye contact with him. Best thing you can do to a bully, by the way, is make eye contact. I made eye contact with him and I just leaned in and I said, you know what? I said, I didn't even know you knew who I was in these meetings. I said, I didn't even think you gave me a second thought. So can I just say thank you for the fact that you thought so highly of me that you wanted to give me feedback to help me grow. I was like, I'm blown away that you even had the need, the urge to tell me that, because I didn't even think you gave me any consideration in those meetings. I am deeply appreciative of the fact that you felt you had to give that to me. I could have left it there. What I did is I let the space just him breathe because he's just looking at me like all kinds of, what just happened? I mean, he's got this quizzical look on his face, completely confused at what just went down. And then I said, and now that you gave it to me, I really hope you can let it go. Because, and I think I threw a dude out only because I was being a little smart ass, but I was just like, dude, that feels like that's been really heavy and that's been weighing on your heart for a while. And I hope you gave it to me. I now receive it. I hope that now you gave it to me, you can let it go, because I'd hate to think you were carrying it around with you for the rest of the day. It feels like it's kind of an anchor. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to say a prayer that your day gets lighter and that you can just let it go. I got to tell you, if you ever want like the mic drop moment, he just like literally jaw just went. And I was like, peace out. And I kind of shimmied out past him, went to my desk, to my thing. He never bothered me again. I don't think he even knew how to handle me, which is awesome because I own my space, I own me, and I wasn't going to participate in that conversation. Good morning, Mateo. And I mean, we have the opportunity. You have the opportunity to meet somebody where they're at, to take them where you want to go, or you can meet them where they're at and dismiss them. That's where you have that right. You have that permission. You have that opportunity. That is discipline. Absolutely. Flip the script. I want you to realize that you have the power always. No one can take your personal power away from you No one without your permission. Now, there are different things that happen when someone's truly physically assaulting you, and there are still ways that you can have your personal power inside that space. And there are ways, especially as a female being 5'2", that you actually have an advantage. And one of them is if somebody comes up from behind you, you literally drop physically into them as if you make it seem like they can take you. And what you do is you drop, and then you drop hard, fast, and you flip them over top of you, and I can actually show you that. And a 5'2" me couldn't drop a 300-pound guy like he's nothing. And it's amazing how, because I have a really low center of gravity, which makes it to my advantage if somebody thinks they're going to come up from behind me, there's ways that you can do that. And so all I'm saying is, I'm not going to talk about all that today, but I want you to tell them killing them with kindness. Absolutely. And so yes, good for him and good for me, because it was a learning. Because here's the thing I want you to realize. We have an opportunity to be compassionate and kind to people. That whole spewing had nothing to do with me. He was triggered by something that went down in this meeting, because I guarantee we walked out of a really heavy meeting and it was really intense, and everybody felt like they got their ass kicked and knocked around quite a bit, because that's typically how corporate meetings go. They're not productive. They're this just who can get their ass kicked the most in a meeting. And people feel out and they feel beaten, and they feel like they've been knocked down, and they feel like they just don't have any sense of who they are. Oh, I love that. Yes, and so I want you to realize that you have personal power in that. The flip side of that is I want you to realize that, say someone does give you a compliment, you're the one that's spinning that day. I want you to realize that when you don't accept a compliment, when you don't just receive the gift, you are shutting down a gift of love. And it was a great quote I read when I was transitioning, and regardless of what your higher power, what you believe is, it said, never ever return a gift to God that's been unopened or unappreciated. And I want you to think about that. When someone's giving us a compliment, they're giving us their best self. They're in a state of love, and they're trying, and we're like, nope, don't want that. So I want you to think about the other things so that you're not participating in your own opinions. And we're going to get into some of that positive stuff next. But I want you to think about, sometimes we have our own opinions that we're internalizing. And I've said this a million times. Stop believing what you think. And I mean everything. Stop believing everything you think until you can validate, make sure that it's true for you. Make sure that it saves, that it's something that serves you. Stop leaning into old programming, old stories, old stuff, old monkey mind, whatever you want to name your ego that's in there having those little stories with you. Mine's Fred. I don't believe Fred anymore. I need Fred to prove to me when Fred says something. So if you're spinning, the best thing you can do is say thank you. Because when you don't receive a gift from others, not only do you block yourself, but you also shut down that person, and you end up creating unnecessary drama that makes everybody feel crappy as a result. So hopefully that's some strategies for you. Actually, I gave you a few more than 2, which is, I always over deliver. But those are some ways to disengage from the drama, to disengage from the stuff that's negative, to disengage from the shit that doesn't serve you in any capacity, and to drop into your personal power so that you can truly step up and be a more powerful and more purposeful and more passionate leader. And so again, I mentioned this yesterday, if you're looking to dig into some of these strategies even more and really work through these and do some hot seat coaching and get some opportunity to dig in really deep, check out the Yes Monthly program that I just launched. That is a way for you to get really structured coaching and training every month, and to go really deep in these topics that I'm talking about, to go deep in how to use these tools, because there's more tools than this. And so I just encourage you to check it out. Again, it's just $97 a month. It's a membership program. You can cancel anytime, but I do 2 90-minute trainings a month. I do 2 Facebook Lives and probably more that are Q&A and hot seat coaching. And then you get all kinds of tools and strategies and amazing things, as well as a private portal with everything on it, and then a private Facebook community to keep you engaged and accountable. So just a additional bonus or opportunity for what we're doing here. Because again, I'm going to go live every day, 7:30. We're going to keep having some of these conversations. And I've said this before too, if there's any topic you want me to lean into, if you want me to bring up, if you want to open up for discussion, send me a message, post it on the page, let me know. I'm very open to bringing whatever needs to be, we need to have conversation around to the table. So hopefully, I trust that you took a nugget away that's going to help you show up when the drama and shitstorms start happening. So I just deeply appreciate all of you, as always, and know that you guys are rock stars. You're rock stars. You're here. You're showing up. And you have what you need to stand up for yourself. You have what you need to say no. Yes and no are complete sentences. And so I just want you to recognize that and realize that you can at any time say, no, that's not for me, and create boundaries. And we're going to talk even more about boundaries. But awesome. Yay. So I got to run. I've got a all-day strategy session to head out to. I love you. Mwah. Have a fabulous, amazing, fantastic day, and I'll catch up with y'all tomorrow at 7:30 Central Time, Wednesday. We are Wonder Space. Say a prayer, Peyton. We always say a prayer when the ambulance goes by, fire engines go by, whatever it was. And we'll be here to dance in some possibilities tomorrow. So with that, everybody, have a great Tuesday. I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.